Filipino moves us to do more, giving hope to those in need. Our journey with the Filipino moves us to do more, giving hope to those in need. Rebuilding lives, inspiring sports heroes, and empowering a nation. PAGCOR, creating opportunities beyond gaming.
Good morning and welcome to the fourth Philippine Graphic Business Mirror webinar for this year. Today's topic is about foundations and how their projects have been making a difference in the lives of many people. I am your host, Anne Ruth de la Cruz, Wellness Editor, Philippines Graphic. To give the opening remarks is the publisher of Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror, Mr. T. Anthony C. Cabango.
The role of private foundations had been acknowledged as early as 1906 in Philippine law. It was not until the presidency of Corazon C. Aquino that non-governmental organizations were given renewed recognition. A year after her assumption into power, a new Philippine constitution was drafted and ratified, providing a role for NGS. Section 23 of Article 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution states that the state shall encourage non-governmental, community-based, or sectoral organizations that promote the welfare of the nation. Specific to private philanthropy, Section 11 of Article 14 ensures that Congress may provide for incentives, including tax deductions, to encourage participation in programs of basic and applied scientific research. At present, donations made to private foundations, domestic corporations or associations organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, scientific, and youth and sports development, cultural and educational purposes, the rehabilitation of veterans, or for social welfare institutions can take advantage of these incentives. This morning, we have gathered for this webinar organized by the Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror, a very distinguished panel of speakers who will talk about the advocacies and the projects of the foundations that they lead. These foundations advocate, among others, education, health, and equal opportunities. I would like to thank you all for the work that you do and may your tribe increase. We hope that after this webinar, you will be better informed of these foundations and their advocacies. Thank you.
Okay, there you are. We have gathered today a very distinguished panel of speakers who will discuss what their foundations do and how they have made an impact on the communities that they serve. Titled Foundations and Those Who Matter Most, our speakers come from the private sector and the church. They will discuss their foundations' advocacies and how they put these advocacies into action. To make this webinar more interesting for our viewers, we will have a contest. I will be asking 3 questions during the webinar, and each question will have 3 winners for a total of 9 winners. The first winner of each question will get a Bosch toaster, while the 2 other winners will get Tita Packs, courtesy of the Center for Growing and Giving Foundation. To join the contest, please like the Facebook page of Philippines Graphic and send your answers via PM. Shaira Barnuevo, our page administrator, will inform me of our 9 winners at the end of the webinar. To start the ball rolling with our webinar, allow me to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is the president of BDO Foundation. Before joining BDO in 2017, he served in leadership positions in other corporate foundations, such as Mondragon Foundation, Ayala Foundation, and SM Foundation, where he led development and implementation of programs in the areas of rural cooperative development, housing and urban development, entrepreneurship, environment, poverty reduction, health, education, and youth development. During the term of President Benigno Aquino III, he left the private sector for 3.5 years to serve as Undersecretary of the Department of Education, where he worked on creating broad local and international partnerships for various nationwide education needs and programs. He is currently Vice Chairman of the Philippine Council for NGO Certification. He was also immediate past chairman of the League of Corporate Foundations and immediate past chairman of the Association of Foundations. To talk about the BDO Foundation, here is Mr. Mario Deriquito, the president of the BDO Foundation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. I would like to thank the Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror for inviting me here and for the opportunity to discuss with you our programs and services. May I request that my slides be shown now? Let's go to the next slide, please. So BDO Foundation is the corporate social responsibility arm of BDO Unibank. It was established in 2008 to serve as an additional channel for the bank to help the community and to contribute to national development. In the next slide, you will see our vision and mission statement, which describes BDO Foundation as a dynamic and responsive organization, true to the bank's We Find Ways philosophy that provides opportunities and supports initiatives for the betterment of the underserved sectors of society. In the next slide, you will see our different program pillars. We have four. The first one is disaster response and rebuilding. And this consists of relief operations and construction of school buildings and resettlement homes for communities affected by both natural and man-made calamities. The second one is the rehabilitation of rural health units or health centers in cities and municipalities around the country. The third pillar is financial inclusion, which is focused on financial education for various sectors. And the fourth pillar, we call it special projects, and this allows us to respond to the changing needs of the country while remaining focused on our core programs. And for this particular time, starting last year, the fourth pillar, we are currently focused on our COVID-19 response. In the next slide, you will see the description of our relief operations. We provide immediate assistance in the form of food, hygiene kits, and materials for temporary shelter, such as tarpaulins and tents, to areas affected by calamities. Our wide network of branches gives us nationwide presence, and enables us to be among the early responders to calamities. Our employee volunteers coming from both BDO Unibank and BDO Network Bank work with LGUs, NGOs, the church, and other groups, sometimes even with the military, to ensure that relief assistance reach the affected families in the shortest possible time. In the next slide, you will see the part of the second phase of our rebuilding efforts. Our rebuilding efforts actually focus on school buildings and housing units. And for the school buildings, we construct usually two-story, four-classroom school buildings for schools that have lost their classrooms to, for example, to typhoons or earthquakes. The building is based on a design approved by the Department of Education and comes with the needed furniture for both students and teachers, as well as blackboards and electric fans. In the next slide, you will see that our school building project has already branched out to the construction of technical vocational training centers in partnership with the Don Bosco Technical Schools. The next slide will show you our effort in terms of constructing resettlement homes. And we do this only in areas that are severely affected by calamities. Example is Eastern Visayas, which was affected severely by Super Typhoon Yolanda, no? And also in areas where we can find building partners, such as the UN Habitat, no? The next slide will show you our second program pillar, which is the rehabilitation of rural health units, or RHUs. No? An RHU is a healthcare facility usually in a municipality or city that provides primary healthcare services to all barangays or a cluster of barangays, no, in that specific area. Small municipalities usually have just one RHU, while bigger ones, especially cities, usually have two or more. No? The RHU usually houses a municipality's birthing facility or birthing center. Our rehabilitation program aims to help the Department of Health in improving our country's local health delivery system, one of the goals under the Philippine Health Agenda. No? The next slide will show you the description of how we do rehabilitation of RHUs. No? The rehabilitation consists of general renovation and repainting. We usually do re-layout to create more space and to let more light and air into the health center. We also create special spaces like a play area for children, a waiting lounge for the elderly, a private breastfeeding area for nursing mothers. We also put in furniture and fixtures, as well as signages. No? This program has succeeded in making the RHUs a better workplace for health workers and a more comfortable facility for patients, especially children, mothers, and the elderly. It has also enabled the RHUs to get better ratings from the Department of Health and PhilHealth, especially in the areas of being child-friendly, elderly-friendly, and mother-friendly, resulting in more support for the RHU. In the next slide, you will see our third program pillar, which is financial inclusion. No? And this aims to provide people, especially the underserved sectors, greater access to knowledge, skills, and tools, and eventually greater access also to appropriate financial services to enable them to build a better future for themselves and their loved ones. Our financial inclusion program is currently focused on financial literacy and mostly done in partnership with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the lead government agency in charge of the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion. In the next slide, you will see that aside from BSP, we have also partnered with a number of organizations, the first of which is the Department of Education, where we work together to integrate financial education into the K-12 curriculum, as well as into the training programs for teachers and non-teaching personnel. The second is the OWA, or Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, where we help them strengthen the financial education component of the pre-departure orientation seminar for OFWs that are leaving the country, the post-arrival orientation seminar, which is usually conducted a few days after they reach their country of destination, as well as a training program for family members who are the ones using the remittances. No? The next partner is Civil Service Commission, where we work together to embed financial education into the training of civil servants or government employees, beginning with the employees of CSC, then to be rolled out into the national government agencies, including the local governments. We also have a partnership with the Philippine Army and the Armed Forces of the Philippines to institutionalize financial education in the training of uniformed and civilian personnel in support of the transformation roadmaps of both AFP and the Philippine Army, where financial literacy is part of the individual scorecards. The next partner, which is relatively a new partner for us, is the Bureau of Fire Protection, where we work together to institutionalize financial education in the BFP's training program for its more than 30,000 firefighters and personnel all over the country. Another new partnership is with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources for a training program for small fisher folk and their families. We recently signed a memorandum of agreement with the PNP, Philippine National Police, for financial education for police, including the civilian personnel of the PNP. And lastly, with SM Foundation and National University for a financial education program for small farmers. In the next slide, you will see some screenshots of some of our FinEd videos, averaging about 3 minutes each, which we developed with BSP and our partners. We have produced about 26 of them, and these videos are used to make teaching and learning and financial education more fun, interesting, and effective. In the next slide, you will see the numbers of beneficiaries that we are trying to reach with each of our partners. You might have noticed that the numbers are quite big, but by institutionalizing the FinEd into our partners' training programs, we hope to be able to reach all of them, as well as those that will come after them. Let me now share with you our various efforts. In the next slide, can we go to the next slide? You will see our achievements for 2020 in terms of numbers, and one of the milestones there is the 100 rural health units that we were able to rehabilitate since 2012, no? And we were able to reach the 100 mark in 2020, and then 17 rural health units were rehabilitated in 2020 alone. No? Let me now share with you in the next slide our various efforts in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In the early part of the pandemic, we mounted a fundraising campaign called Peso for Peso, not only to raise resources, but also to provide our employees and our customers and partners an avenue to participate. No? BDO Foundation matched every peso donated to this campaign. In order to help improve people's mobility, we provided some assistance to the rapid pass system of government through a donation of smartphones and peripherals that were used as QR code scanners at checkpoints. That was done during the early part of the pandemic when mobility was very, very limited. We also provided some technical assistance for DSWD's Relief Agad app with the goal of improving beneficiary registration and quick delivery of financial assistance to needy families. Now, to assist both public and private hospitals enhance their capacities in terms of COVID-19 testing, we donated 10,000 PCR test kits to 10 hospitals with the agreement that they would use the test kits for their underserved or charity patients. In the next slide, you will see still part of our intervention was the distribution of food packs to families in barangays under lockdown and where people lost their access to food, and the distribution of hygiene kits for OFW stranded both in the PITX and in the IA. Another major contribution was the, can we go back to the slide? Another major contribution was the support we provided to the pilot implementation of pooled RT-PCR testing for market vendors, PUV drivers, and other frontliners in Makati, Mandaluyong, and Cebu City. Pool testing is a method that combines swab samples of 5 to 10 people and subject them to RT-PCR test, a method that has brought down the cost of testing. A method which was eventually adopted by the DOH as a tool for surveillance among groups that are most vulnerable to COVID-19 infection, such as OFWs, market vendors, PUV drivers, and the like. Finally, we are among the pioneers of private sector procurement of vaccines through a tripartite mechanism involving the private sector, the national government, and the vaccine manufacturers. Through this, BDO donated more than 200,000 doses of vaccines to government. In terms of future plans, next slide, please. We will continue and expand our current programs. We also hope to contribute to efforts in post-pandemic rebuilding. And because the pandemic led to the loss of many people's jobs and livelihood, we also hope to be able to contribute to address the problem of hunger. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much again for the opportunity. And I pray for the continued health and safety of everyone. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Sir Mario, for updating us on the activities of BDO Foundation. Okay, just a few shout outs here. Hello to Maria Kukovsky, who's watching all the way from British Columbia in Canada. And hello to Melgreg Concepcion from Manila. Mr. Bragi Braganza, good morning. From Caloocan siguro po ito. Jubilee Cabales Ramos. And from Batangas, Ma'am Marian De Mesa and Rosalia Buenaventura from Bataan. Okay. I will be asking my first question soon, so please stay tuned. When I was going through the resume of our second speaker, I did not know where to start or what to highlight because she has achieved so much. She is a BS Psychology and MA Clinical Psychology graduate of the University of Santo Tomas. She is a certified psychologist, psychometrician, teacher, and she also passed the guidance and counseling licensure exam. She has experience in management and coordination of guidance counseling programs and services, information, appraisal, counseling, training, teaching, follow up and research, recruitment, records management, and personnel movements and testing. To speak about the Unilab Foundation towards a healthier and future ready Philippines, here is Dr. Sheila Marie Hoxon, the Program Director of Heads Up Philippines of the Unilab Foundation. Good morning, Dr. Shea.
Hi, Ma'am Ruth. Good morning. And thank you so much for inviting us over to the Philippines Graphic and, of course, the Business Mirror family. It is with absolute honor and pleasure to present to you the Unilab Foundation. So can I have our slide? So to all our participants, thank you for tuning in and having the time to listen to our work in the foundation. Yeah, can we have a slideshow? So, Ma'am Ruth, I think this is really the new normal that we are experiencing.
Correct. I don't know why you're having problems.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Ayan. Yeah, so let's have a slideshow.
Yeah, okay. There you
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So our Unilab Foundation, no? So we are sending a message and we always make our life as a message of service to everyone that we are towards a healthier and future-ready Philippines, wherein we go for the holistic well-being of our dear stakeholders from the children, the youth, of course, the family, the community. Next slide. And Unilab Foundation Incorporated, or what they call the ULF, is a Philippine registered nonprofit organization established in 2011 as a corporate foundation of the United Laboratories Incorporated, or of course the Unilab. And we have definitely a transformational leadership And in 2020, the belief that health and well-being is holistic, including now, no, not only the physical, the mental, the spiritual, but also the digital citizenship and well-being pillars. No? And of course, this is under the dynamic leadership of Mom Elizabeth Aristorenas, our executive director. Next slide. And ULF aims to achieve a long-term transformational development, also guided by our evidence-based inputs and, of course, science of mental health and well-being. And it's also committed to long-term transformational impact through the three pillars to nurture integrated STEM learners, wherein we all know that we really need STEM uh, people now, especially in this crisis, innovators and workforce, to build mentally healthy communities and provide meaningful youth engagement because we always believe in the potential of the youth. Next slide. And the statement of purpose is that our major objectives are also guided by the programs that we have. No? Number one is to nurture integrated STEM learners, innovators, and workforce because we all need all those engineers that we have, all those leaning into our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We also want to improve the mental health and well-being of the youth through the Heads Up PH program that I'm also overseeing. We also want to improve the active participation of the youth because we all believe that really the youth has a lot of potentials, and most of the youth of today, the Alpha Gen, the Gen Zs of the day, are really leaning into their peers. And of course, to support the successful ULF programs to become independent. That's why we have the spin-off, which is the project inclusion, of course, the PYDN, and of course, the system that will also be presented by Dr. Sherry later. And we go for our values of integrity, excellence, innovation, compassion, and of course, we are definitely on the bayanihan spirit. Next slide. And these are the purpose why we anchor our programs. And this is under the ambition, 2020, a long-term vision of the Philippines. Of course, the Philippine Development Plan, 2017 to 2022, and of course, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, aligned also with the different laws and policies of the different stakeholders and partners that we have, also anchored with the Philippine Mental Health Law. Next slide. And this is the program STEM Plus PH, which nurtures the integrated STEM learners, innovators, and workforce through learner empowerment, curricular innovation, of course, research, and of course, government industry education partnership. Next slide. Of course, we also believe in the youth engagement to improve the active participation of the target youth in the promotion of health and well-being through community development activities, of course, SK, and a lot of potentials of the youth, peer facilitation as well. Next slide. And of course, in the Heads of PH, we want to improve not only the mental health, but the holistic well-being of our dear young Filipinos, of course, through the anchor of their families, their mentors, and of course, the different school stakeholders. Next slide. And in the Unila Foundation, through the Heads of PH program, we created the mental health professional collaborative, wherein we created a group or professional organization in collaboration with our doctors from the Philippine Psychiatric Association, the Philippine Society for Child and Adolescent Psychiatrists, my colleagues in the Psychological Association of the Philippines, also my colleagues in the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, and of course also our collaborators with the Philippine Pediatric Society in collaboration with the different stakeholders and organizations as well. Next slide. And of course, we also created the Philippine Play Coalition that advocates for the power of play among the youth, especially as a psychosocial support through the CWC, the World Vision, the KITE, the TUKOD, and of course, the EDUCO Philippines. Next slide. And of course, we also have some active partnership, public and private partnerships, of course, also with the guidance of our consultants from the different parts of the country and the world, and it's also in collaboration with DepEd and of course the DSWD. Next slide. And in Heads of PH, we always work smarter, but also with self-care and kindness. And we do it with collaboration. Okay? Next slide. And we all know now that mental health, more than ever, is one of the biggest issues, especially in this crisis that we are facing. Next slide. And the coronavirus really infected a lot of people in the Philippines. And currently, we have 24 million plus elementary and high school students. This is according to the study of the Department of Education, okay, 2020. Next slide. And this affected not only the adults, but also the youth of the day. Okay? Just like the story of Tony, that my family and my teachers don't understand me. No? So this is the usual story that we have now because of a feeling of isolation and uncertainty. And unfortunately, there are really some parents or families that are not really going into a good relationship. Next slide. And I think there are a lot of youth who can also empathize with this. And the programs that we build on this is what they call the positive education modules, anchored with a positive psychology framework that we just don't believe in the academic achievement of the Filipino children, but we want to combine it with the social emotional learning, the character strengths, and of course, how to be happy. And we always believe not only on the IQ of the people and the youth, but also the emotional quotient, the social quotient, the the diversity quotient, and of course the digital well-being quotient. We also go for the peer facilitation program in collaboration and with our manual with the peer organization of the Philippines, and of course the Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, and of course access also to telecounseling manuals, of course to self-care manuals, and of course to peer advising, and of course homeroom advising for our dear teachers, especially in the public school. And we also created career guidance interventions and mental health assessment, wherein we also created a mental health assessment that is free because we all know that it's very expensive to really have a mental health assessment, and not all Filipinos can afford it. Next slide. And this is the story of Ma'am Dalia, a teacher, no, that kailangan po natin ng suporta para sa mental health ng mga bata. So our implications for that and to bridge the gap. Next slide. Is we have what we call mental health programs and digital well-being trainings. Of course, for our dear teachers, our guidance counselors, of course, our career advocates, and we also have what they call the online positive education and the suicide prevention and mental health referral trainings in collaboration with the DOH National Center for Mental Health. And we also have the Race Against Suicide program through the multidisciplinary and the multi-sectoral approach, no? In order for us to have the all systems level approach in collaboration with the private, the public, the psychologists, the counselors, and of course the psychiatrists. And we also have a show, The Wonder Teacher with Father Kaluwag, and this is also in active collaboration with ABS-CBN, wherein we created a program for the welfare of the youth, the teachers, the school, and of course the Filipino families. Next slide. And this is the story of Ate Mercy, who is a sister, no? And sa panahon pong ito, sabi niya, mahirap na mahirap talaga. Hindi namin alam kung ano ang gagawin. So the parents are very busy now, working so hard in these times of crisis. And to bridge this gap, next slide, is we created, no, in collaboration with the DSWD, we also, and the Bayanihan for Wellbeing mental health collaboratives that we have, we created the family well-being programs. We also go for the happiness journey of Martin Seligman's framework on positive psychology, and we also go for the play through psychosocial support program, which is which was recalibrated to really go for the psychosocial support of the youth. And this program also has a proceed for the resiliency playbacks for children that we are giving to the Filipino youth, especially to the DepEd students. Next slide. And I always remember that there's no single entity that can handle this. That's why our anchor is, next slide, is to go for innovation. And if we want to really lead in our community service and servant leadership, we really have to innovate and recalibrate. We also go for collaboration, and of course, we go for compassion. Next slide. So these are the numbers that we produce with the Heads Up PH. And all in all the programs of the Unilab Foundation, we serve 24,055,467 children below 15 years old. We serve 1,670,159 youth, 15 to 30 years old. We serve 528,343 teacher and educators for the intervention programs that we have. We also partnered with 151 NGOs and professional organizations. We also win some policies and programs, no, and collaborations with 24 LGUs in the country, 772 schools that we partnered, and 24 colleges and universities, and of course 31 communities that we are building. Next slide. And we think small, we think big, but we start small. And we move fast, and as we move fast, we carry our strengths and we carry our values of service. Next slide. And I do hope that as we go along, especially to all our participants now, together, let us build mentally and healthy communities. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheikh, for sharing this information with us. I am sure not too many people know about your work, and we wish you success in your endeavors. Before
Thank
we
you, ma'am.
move on to our next speaker, here is my first question for our contest this morning. Mr. Mario Deriquito left the private sector for 3.5 years to serve the government of President Benigno Aquino III. What was his position in government? Again, Mr. Mario Deriquito left the private sector for 3.5 years to serve the government of President Benigno Aquino III. What was his position in government? Don't forget to like the Philippines Graphic Facebook page before sending your answers via PM. The first person to get the right answer will win the Bosch toaster, while the second and third persons will get the right answer will get a Tita Pack. Let's move on to our next speaker. She is a graduate of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, with a Bachelor in Secondary Education Physics degree, an MA in Education in Physics, and a PhD in Education in Physics Education. She is a member of the American Educational Research Association and the Physics Society of the Philippines. To speak about advancing STEM education for nation building, here is Dr. Sherilyn Monterola, the Executive Director for SYSTEM, or the Center for Integrated STEM Education. Good morning, Dr. Sherilyn.
Good morning, Ma'am Ann. Allow me to share my slides for this morning's presentation for a
Okay,
while.
go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. May I just check whether it's on presentation mode already? Good morning once again. I'm Sherilyn Monterola. I'm happy. Thank you very much, Philippines Graphic and BusinessMirror, for the opportunity to share our initiatives. I represent the Center for Integrated STEM Education. It's a spin-off organization of Unilab Foundation. And this morning, I would like to share some of our projects and programs on advancing STEM education for nation building. This is in line with our main vision to create a culture of inquiry and innovation for nation building. Before I walk you through the different programs and projects, let me introduce our eminent STEM experts who are members of our International Advisory Board. We have Dr. Lance Bush, President and CEO of Challenger Center. We have Dr. Vijay Kumar, the Executive Director of the MIT JWEL, or the World Education Lab. We also have Dr. Victoria Levin, Senior Economist from the World Bank, and Dr. Mia Dubosarski, WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute STEM Education Center, Director of Professional Development. And we also have Miss Kelly List-Wells, the founder and executive director of the U.S. STEM Leadership Alliance. Also part of our International Advisory Board, we have Dr. Daniel Rouen, an astrophysicist and the president of the Laman Alapat Foundation from France. And then we also have Dr. Manabu Sumida, the regional representative for Asia, International Council for Science Education, and the director of the Japan Society for Science Education. Also, part of the International Advisory Board, we have Dr. Christopher Monterola, professor from the Asian Institute of Management and the Aboitiz Chair in Data Science. We also have Dr. Joel S. Marciano, the first Director General of the Philippine Space Agency. And we have Dr. Ethel Agnes Valenzuela, the Director of the CEMEO Secretariat. For our local Board of Trustees, we are joined by Dr. Fidel Nemenzo, the Chancellor of UP Diliman, Dr. Glenn Borja Gregorio, the Director of the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, or SHERCA. We also have Dr. Al Serafica, an engineer, scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur, and member of the National Academy of Science and Technology, who's currently our president and chair. We also have Ms. Ben Coronel, the president of Point West Technologies, and representing Unilab, we have Mr. Oscar Carag, and of course, the executive director of Unilab Foundation, Ms. Lilibeth Aristorenas. Our core members consist of distinguished professors and teachers from the field, from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and also from the Department of Education and other major institutions. When it comes to systems strategic programs, we are working on the following. We have work on teacher upskilling, learner empowerment, curricular innovation, GIE partnerships, and also research. Let me inform you about the different programs and projects that we have under these strategic pillars. For teacher upskilling, we are able to reach about 320 teachers through our different trainings and webinars. So since March of last year, we were able to reach about 320,000 teachers. We are able to co-facilitate EduTech Innovation Workshop for faculty members of the University of the Philippines. We ran 2 hybrid workshops for TVET curriculum writers and trainers on the integration of STEM in technical vocational education and training. And last January, we collaborated with CEMEO, MIT JWEL, the U.S. STEM Leadership Alliance, and of course, the CEMEO STEM Ed Center, and we delivered the second Integrated STEM Leadership Summit in Asia. Under teacher upskilling, we also have the STEM Teaching Factory in partnership with Amherst Laboratories and Unilab Pharma Academy. Pre-pandemic, it actually is a teacher immersion program wherein high school teachers are given the opportunity to interact with STEM professionals in an actual workplace, such as a manufacturing plant. In the manufacturing plant, where teachers stayed for about 10 days, they attended several trainings and workshops, and also interacted with engineers, analysts, and other STEM professionals in the facility, and they were also able to conduct experiments using the equipment in the facility. Last December, we were able to transition this, during the pandemic, we were able to transition this successfully into an online program, and we were able to expand it to include not only teachers from Region 4, 4A Calabarzon area, but also include teachers from Region 3. Earlier, I mentioned about our collaboration regarding the integration of STEM in technical vocational education and training. So in partnership with the International Labor Organization, Philippine Country Office, and TESDA, we facilitated the training of trainers for the integration of STEM and TVET using STEM-oriented competencies, pedagogies, and assessments. And we were able to train about 131 trainers from the priority sectors of the government, such as agriculture, construction, IT, metals and engineering, and health, and also tourism. We also have a program particularly on introducing design thinking as a method for innovating and producing solutions that are community responsive. So through our design thinking workshop for educators, we're able to train teachers from the Philippine Science High School System, from the Department of Education, from the DOST Science Education Institute, SEI STAR, or the Science Teacher Academy for the regions. We also trained education specialists from UP NISMED, from the UP Integrated School, and also adapted schools of Emerson and Bayan Academy. We developed several resources for learners. So to address the psychosocial needs of the learners at the onset of the pandemic, we produced a series of COVID-19 comics for elementary students. This was circulated by the Department of Education to all public elementary schools. We also produced an activity booklet and children's storybook on urban agriculture, particularly addressing food security, that would accompany the agri-grow kit distributed by the Department of Agriculture to young children. We developed modules for kinder to grade 2 students, and since these modules were delivered remotely, we assembled sets of love in a box for the kids and developed video tutorials for the parents and guardians who would assist them in doing the experiments. In total, we are estimating that through our learning resources, we were able to reach about 12 million students. Other programs that we have for empowering the next generation of nation builders and innovators, we have summer programs for kids and teens, like the ones shown here, like for example, physics of games, of Filipino games. We also have ice cream making, so some practical and fun activities for young kids to enjoy. We also have a more sophisticated and highly technical oriented program like the Easy AI, a coding activity or a coding training for kids and teens. We also have what you call, in partnership with the Division of Sorsogon Province and the Division of Sorsogon City, we're able to conduct the first Sorsogon Agritech Hackathon, for which students were trained to incorporate Arduino technology, Arduino components in developing agritech solutions that actually are actually in response to the different problems that they see in the agricultural landscape of Sorsogon. In partnership with UP College of Education, we also support their program called SALA, which stands for STEM Applications for Lifelong Appreciation. This consists of brown bag sessions and STEM challenges for high school students. Examples of our teaching innovations that we have pursued actually use mass media. We produced episodes for junior high school for the national TV program of the Department of Education. So we have what you call the Wonder Science with Teacher Melvin. We also have 2 radio programs, and we are also assisting 1 radio program led by the Ateneo SALT. One of the radio programs, as mentioned earlier by Dr. Sheikh, is called the Wonder Teacher, and it's circulated through DZMM Teleradio, and it's focused on STEM and social-emotional learning. And our target audience include teachers, parents, and other home learning partners. Another teaching innovation program that we have is called the Integrated STEAM Innovation Program. It was a multi-component program that consisted of the following. To be able to create the STEAM research and innovation agenda, we consulted about 100 community stakeholders and mobilized 500 grade 12 STEM students to conduct what you call the community needs assessment. And through these activities, we're able to come up with the research and innovation agenda that would really ground the different solutions that would be created by STEM students in response to community needs and even local business needs in the area. Also, we did capacity building for teachers, not only for local trainings, but we exposed them to international trainings. We partnered with the Asia Society Center for Global Education, and we trained teachers, teachers coming from Sorsogon on global skills in STEM and vocational education. Part of the integrated STEAM innovation program is what you call the STEM awareness talk for families, for which we're able to reach out to about 200 parents and guardians and talk about the importance of investing in STEM education as early as now, to be able to ensure that we have the next generations of scientists, engineers, innovators, and nation builders. Just to feature some of the results from the Integrated STEAM Innovation Program, students were able to generate 92 community responsive student projects. We were able to observe or gather evidence for the significant improvement of student lifelong skills, particularly on the following: growth mindset, resilience, work ethics, ICT skills, grit, science process skills, math skills, metacognitive awareness, and critical thinking. Another contribution or another accomplishment coming from this program was that one of the participating schools actually was recognized as one of the finalists in the Department of Education Secretary's Award for Excellence in Curriculum and Instruction, or SAFE-C. And recent news coming from Sorsogon is that they're going to actually open 4 more STEM schools for senior high school. Also, part of this program is that we're going to scale it up and implement it in other partner divisions, and also in partnership with PAASE, which is the Philippine American Academy for Scientists and Engineers. With regards to our partnership with different government agencies, industries and enterprises, and other academic institutions, one example of our collaboration is the second Integrated STEM Leadership Summit in Asia. We co-organized it with MIT JWEL, SEMEO, US STEM Leadership Alliance, of course, UNILEV Foundation, and the SEMEO STEM Ed Center. Through this particular activity, we were able to gather 3,770 participants representing 50 countries to listen and learn from 100 speakers all over the world. You can look at our event website and also check out some of the resources posted there. Also, part of our GIE partnerships, other activities include organizing fora and academic meetings. We had a forum in partnership with Nanyang Polytechnic Singapore, particularly focusing on makerspace. It's about a hub for bringing human-centric solutions to life, and of course, creating really or supporting the development of what you call an innovation mindset. We also have the GIE forum with professional associations. We focused on discussing how to appropriately nurture the Philippine STEM pipeline. And just recently, we were a supporting partner and a presenter in the SEMEO Congress 2021, wherein about 15,000 participants joined the Congress, representing about 64 countries. We have an ongoing partnership with the Asian Institute of Management, particularly the Aboitiz School for Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship. We are actually collaborating with them for using data science in relation to smart agriculture and youth skills development. Part of this ongoing work is to consult the SEMEO CERCA, or the SEMEO Research Center in Agriculture, to be able to anticipate what would be the necessary skills for youth to develop in order to later on participate and contribute to smart agriculture development in the country. Our other GIE partners, international partners, include the following. We have MIT JWEL, we have WPI, the US STEM Leadership Alliance, of course, SEMEO. We also have partnered with Smithsonian Science Education Center, the Asia Society Center for Global Education, the NSTA, Nanyang Polytechnic Challenger Center, ITEA, the La Lapat Foundation in France, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, the American Society for Engineering Education, and of course, the International Labor Organization. From our end, we also partner with the following, the Department of Education. We are an accredited learning service provider of NAYAP. Also with DOST and the STII, the Science and Technology Information Institute. We also partner with TESDA, the Department of Agriculture, Agriculture Training Institute, and other academic institutions such as AIM, the University of the Philippines Technology Transfer and Business Development Office, Ateneo SALT, the LaSalle Food and Water Institute, and the STEM Leadership Alliance, CNE Publishing, and of course, the Magna Anima Teachers College. So thank you very much for listening to some of our projects, programs, and initiatives on advancing STEM education for nation building. So please join us in System and Unilab Foundation, and let's create a culture of inquiry and innovation together. Once again, I'm Sherilyn C. Monterola. Please reach out to us. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Integrated STEM Education. Reach out to us through this email that you can find in my screen. Thank you once again, and a pleasant morning to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rochelle. Okay, before we move on to our next speaker, just a few shout-outs here to Mikey De La Peña, Arlan Balnec Claro from Abra. Hello. Boy Mabaliw Baliw, you're always with us. Thank you so much for always supporting our webinars. Si Eugene De Asis. Sino pa? Judy Marie Santiago Aladin, thank you for watching. Rick Mar, Ganaban Carlos, and Bella Crisma. Thank you all for joining us. Let's move on to our next speaker. She has over 9 years of experience in the political arena as a two-term city councilor and later as vice mayor of Quezon City. She is known for her integrity in the field of public service as a public service host and broadcaster in Kapwa Ko Mahal Ko, and has held several positions in professional and civic organizations. She is a recipient of various local and international awards from the government, private sector, as well as from international organizations. She has also received awards on leadership in the field of business and in pursuit of corporate social responsibility. She is recognized for her deeply rooted involvement in various cause-oriented activities, especially for women and children's causes. To speak about her work at the SM Foundation Incorporated, here is Ms. Connie S. Angeles, Executive Director of Health and Medical Programs. Good morning, Ms. Connie.
Good morning, Ma'am Ruth.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. We'll just load your slides po.
Okay.
While we are waiting, you're just, marami po kayong fans, Miss Connie. Hello daw, sabi ni Dennis Guevara, Lynn Lansang, si Charm Arquibel, si Juanita Perla, and my mom. Hello.
Oh, hello to everyone who's watching us
Yeah.
right now.
Nandiyan na po, ma'am.
Okay, so again, magandang umaga po sa inyo, Ma'am Ruth, Mr. Cabangon, and all the participants. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to walk you through SM Foundation's programs. And so I think we can get started with our slideshow. Okay, this is our story. We serve as the heart of the SM group of companies focused on nurturing and caring for grassroots communities where SM is present. Established in 1983 by Mr. Henry C. Sr. and Felicidad TC, we help improve the quality of life of Filipinos by doing our share in providing services to those in need.
Mukhang na.
Next slide. Okay, our vision is for a Philippines where everyone has the opportunity for self improvement and the environment is sustained for future generation. And this is our mission. We will make targeted social investments in education, healthcare, livelihood, and shelter to help underserved Filipinos improve their lives. And we will promote initiatives to protect and enhance the Philippines' unique and diverse ecological heritage. We will do this by working directly with communities to give them the assistance they require, by leveraging our corporate assets to secure resources and build awareness, and by engaging with strong partners to create programs that promote a cycle of positive change. Next slide, please. SM Foundation has several social good programs. For education, we have the College and Tech Voc Scholarship Program and the School Building Program. For health and medical, we do medical missions and community health and wellness centers, Kabalikat sa Kabuhayan on Sustainable Agriculture, and Operation Tulong Express Program. On scholarship program, through its College and Tech Voc Scholarship Program, SM Foundation provides deserving and qualified students with scholarships to universities across the country. To date, SM Foundation has produced more than 7,600 college and Tech Voc Scholar graduates nationwide. Next slide. Through its school building program, SM Foundation is an active partner of DepEd's Adapt a School program. This social good initiative of SM Foundation aims to promote quality public education by building classrooms nationwide. To date, it has turned over more than 100 school buildings to grassroots communities nationwide. And on the health and medical programs, through its health and medical programs, SM Foundation upgrades public health centers in its host communities, complemented by its medical caravans across the country. Like annually, we would do like 80 to 100 medical missions nationwide, and that was during the pandemic. It has renovated more than 160 health and wellness centers and served more than 1 million patients during its medical caravans.
Hello ma'am, nawawala po kayo. Miss Connie? Miss Connie? I think nawala na siya.
Okay.
There you are.
I think our Wi-Fi connection is not really that good. So we're still on the health and medical programs. Okay, there you go. Kabalikat sa Kabuhayan programs aims to bring modern and sustainable farming skills in both rural and urban communities to help farmers have food on their table and have potential economic opportunities. The program has trained more than 27,500 farmers from 3,370 barangays in 900 cities and municipalities. Can we go back to the health and medical programs, please, if it is okay? So I'd like to briefly describe to you the health and medical programs. We cover 6 areas of health and wellness. So these are the medical missions, mobile clinic services, wellness centers for the children and elderly, hospice units, the Felicidad C Wellness Centers, and the Felicidad C wards, which are specials, and the community health centers. So now on to the Kabalikat sa Kabuhayan. Okay, next slide, please. So, in order to address the effects of climate change in our host communities and bring a ray of hope in times of disasters, SM Foundation launched its relief operations, dubbed as Operation Tulong Express. It is the Foundation's emergency response as we aim to be one of the first responders distributing relief packs in calamity-stricken areas, especially in areas where we operate. To date, we have distributed almost 640,000 Kalinga packs and have conducted more than 350 relief operations nationwide. Next. As per SM's COVID-19 response, through joint efforts, SM has donated over 400 million pesos worth of essential medical supplies and equipment. This comprises over 300 pesos million worth of Kalinga packs, essential medical supplies and equipment, as well as personal protective equipment or PPEs and PCR tests. Next slide. SM constructed 7 emergency quarantine facilities, 2 at the Viluna General Hospital in Quezon City, 1 at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City, areas to have a pandemic. We established a COVID-19 facility at the Mall of Department of Health, the 19, the PNP Medical Corps, facility RTC per day. Next slide, please.
I think Miss Connie has been having Wi-Fi connection problems. While we're waiting for her to come back, shout out to Ma'am Marian there, Ma'am Marian de Mesa, sa Queenie, Victor
Okay,
Percius Chan. There you are, Ma'am.
here.
Okay, go ahead, Ma'am.
Through joint efforts, we have supported our frontliners with 20,000 PCR test kits and 48,050 RNA test kits, 65 ICU grade ventilators, 5 digital X-ray machines, 8 ultrasound machines, more than 164,000 KN95 masks, more than 500,000 masks, and more than 70,000 face shields were provided to our medical frontliners and hospitals. Next slide, please. Through our collab for social good with partners, we were able to assist the medical frontliners with their much needed support. Next slide. In a nutshell, here is an infographic regarding SM's COVID efforts. I hope you can see. 206 partner hospitals have been supported. Next slide. Together with our partners, we were able to spread social good to our key stakeholders under our Collab for Social Good program. Our major partners are Uniqlo Philippines, who donated PCR kits good for 4,000 tests, which is more than 5 million pesos worth, to the UP National Institute of Health. 500,000 pieces ARISM shirts for medical frontliners, 350,000 pieces surgical masks, 17,000 Kalinga packs, 200,000 pieces of PPEs. Other major partners are Bata Shoes, who donated 1,800 pairs of shoes for frontliners. SGV and Company donated 48 unit laptops for teachers for their online instructions for their classes. Crocs, 10,000 pairs of Crocs for frontliners. Goldilocks, 22,700 food packs. Unilever, 5,760 pieces of goods. Asia Brewery, 5,000 bottles of alcohol. And Sunspring, 38,000 face shields. Next slide, please. Although the implementation of our social good programs is threatened with a physical limitation due to the community quarantines across the country, the continuity of our social good programs remained. We continuously innovate our communication tools, believing that social good projects should be paired with effective development communication tools, communicated through community consultations to sharing our social good stories in both traditional and digital channels. We believe that end-to-end communication efforts present proof of a company's commitment to sustainable social development, that your social good program can unite various institutions in spreading social good, which in turn multiplies impact. For more social good stories, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at SM Foundation Inc. You can also visit www.sm-foundation.org. And so before I end this presentation and to give you a better picture on how we implement our social good programs, specifically our COVID-19 response, let me leave you with one of our social good videos. Thank you very much and keep safe, everyone. So I guess that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Connie, for the work that you do at SM Foundation. May your tribe increase.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Before we
you.
move
Thank you,
on,
Miss Ruth.
thank you, Miss Connie. Okay. Before we move on to our next speaker, here is my second question for our contest. Dr. Cheryl Lynn Monterola has a Bachelor in Secondary Education, MA, and PhD in Education. What subject did she specialize in? Dr. Cheryl Lynn Monterola has a Bachelor in Secondary Education, MA, and PhD in Education. What subject did she specialize in? Please don't forget to like the Facebook page of Philippines Graphic before you send your answer via PM. Our next speaker is the Executive Secretary of Caritas Philippines. He is also the Vicar General of the Diocese of Novaliches. He spearheaded the establishment of Ugnayan ng Barangay at Simbahan, UBAS, while piloting the establishment of community-based drug rehabilitation centers in Novaliches and in other dioceses in the country. He took over as the Executive Secretary of Caritas Philippines in 2020. To talk about Caritas Philippines, the heart of the Church of the Poor, here is Father Antonio E. Labio Jr. Good morning, Father.
Hi, good morning. Salamat, Ma'am Ruth, and also si Sir Anthony Cabangon. And thank you for Philippines Graphic and BusinessMirror for inviting us in this webinar to share what Caritas Philippines is doing. And good morning to all our partners and viewers. So, our foundation is Caritas, CBCP Caritas uh, Filipinas Foundation Inc. We call it Caritas Philippines, the heart of the Church of the Poor. So we became an official CBCP Caritas Foundation on 2005. But since 1966, Caritas Philippines has been the humanitarian and development advocacy arm of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. This is a response uh, of the CBCP to the call of the Universal Church for renewal and social transformation. Remember that this is just a year after the end of the Second Vatican Council in Rome. So this Caritas Philippines is also the national secretariat to the 85 diocesan social action centers throughout the country. We have a social action network. And then Caritas Philippines is also a representative, a member to a global confederation of 165 Catholic charities under the umbrella of Caritas International. And we know that the president of this Caritas International is no other than His Eminence Chito Cardinal Tagle, our very own. And then in the structure of the CBCP, we are known as Episcopal Commission on Social Action, Justice, and Peace. And the centerpiece program of Caritas, this was established in 1975, is Alay Kapwa, which is an evangelization and resource mobilization programs for the poor. And we have this vision and mission. So the vision is empowered and resilient Filipino communities, to living out the faith and working for justice and peace and integrity of creation. And we have four missions that guide us. First is really to accompany our 85 social action centers and the vulnerable communities throughout the country. Of course, second, to facilitate and develop responsive and sustainable programs. and also to promote collective and unified advocacy actions, especially in the area of socio-environmental and eco-political issues. And lastly, we want to develop and strengthen our local resources to sustain us in our programs. Now, Caritas has four major programs, and we are known first for humanitarian programs. For the last several years, especially with the Typhoon Yolanda, Caritas has implemented a total of 3.2 billion pesos, no? With the help of our Caritas network internationally. And during this decade also, we have implemented 30 emergency responses. No? So we are able to assist 2 million families, more than 300 communities. We were able to help construct 10,281 houses, provided 28,000 plus or almost 29,000 shelter kits. And of course, we constructed also 20 evacuation centers in the different provinces, established more than 1,000 backyard and community gardens. And now we are able to train more than 300 social action workers, 3,000 volunteers. Every year, there are disasters. That's why Caritas Philippines is always in the forefront for the humanitarian assistance program. The second program is on development. When we talk about humanitarian, is actually poverty alleviation, and development programs is more on poverty reduction. So we were able to support 60 dioceses in their development programs, especially on self-help groups. It's like helping women, communities to form themselves, to be self-reliant. So we have already these 500 groups being formed, and they are being sustained by their self-help initiatives. Then we have supported 1,000 community social enterprises and livelihood organizations, and hopefully we will follow them up with our social enterprise marketing of their goods. And then we have also supported and trained 5,000 farmers and fishermen, to increase their production and to sustain their livelihood. And then we have the third program is on advocacy. Now this is very important. We call it poverty eradication or elimination. So we have advocacies on ecology and food security, good governance, and justice and peace. So because Caritas Philippines is the CBCP advocacy arm, so this is a very important program for Caritas Philippines. So we established partnership with networks with different organizations and groups, especially with the similar advocacies. We collaborated with 60 diocesan social action centers to support one another for important key actions in their area, like mining, anti-mining, like anti-logging campaigns, rights of nature, and the rest. And we also partner with media organizations to mainstream our advocacy campaigns. Now we have also campaigns on divestment, so campaigns for voters registration, simplicity of life, and then we have just launched our national Laudato Si program, and establishing eco-convergence hubs in different regions. So these are advocacies that are being promoted by the Caritas Philippines. The fourth one is more of capacitation. No, it's really institutional building. We want to we are able to establish Caritas Philippines Academy based in Tagaytay, and it was started in 2016. And then we are able already to train the 500 social action directors and staff, because the primarily the academy is for them to professionalize our social action work. And then we have 65 diocesan social action centers being supported by this program. We call it accompaniment program, and hopefully we sustain and nourish our collaboration with Future by Design Philippines, Development Academy of the Philippines, and ASEAN Social Institute or ASI, and other educational institutions in the future to really develop our academy to service our social action network. So these are the four programs of Caritas Philippines. Now, our main stakeholders, no, as a foundation, of course, on the ground, our poor communities, especially the least served and the poorest and the most vulnerable. And then we have 85 social action centers. In every diocese, we have a social action center, Caritas. We call it local Caritas. And then, of course, our stakeholder here is we really depend on their support. Caritas Internationalis, with member organizations in Asia, in Europe, and Australia, and other partners. Now, our response to COVID-19, last year, we started with Caritas Kindness Station nationwide. Now we have now the 150 Caritas stations nationwide. We are now in 63 dioceses with 2,000 plus volunteers. We help them as a starting seed funding, but we want the stations to be sustainable, and the only one to sustain that is the community itself. That's why the kindness station is now in the community, no, level. Besides COVID-19, of course, each diocese has its own initiative of delivering services to their own parishioners, no, like Damayan, relief operation, offering livelihood programs. So each diocese has its own initiative. But as Caritas Philippines, we have this kindness station being supported, promoted, and sustained. Now, because of this pandemic, also we try our best to have our innovations in our approach. So we partner with ABS-CBN, no, with the daily masses of Kapamilya Daily Masses with Father Tito. We also partner with the Global Network of Compassion. No, we collaborate, and we develop our partnership, and then we continue to push for this share kindness program, no? That we want to develop people's showing and concern, love, care for one another. So be focused on this. So the kindness station is very, very interesting, because in the provinces, people do not just share their goods or rice or vegetables. They are now in the station seeds, seedlings, even sagwan, no, sa mga fisher folks. So these are examples of, we develop new ways of promoting and sustaining kindness stations in our strategies in serving people who are affected by the pandemic. Now, our future plans revolve around three areas, and we are doing now this year. We start this kind of we are going into that direction. Really, to continue build our strategic partnership. So, like you, or locally and internationally, we continue to do that. That's very important for us in Caritas. Now, we want to intensify the implementation of our Alay Kapwa Priority Stewardship programs. Among others, we have the feeding program to be rolled out in 6 provinces, 2 in Mindanao, 2 in Visayas, and 2 in Luzon. We will have a scholarship program in six provinces also. And then we have this academy, we have this social enterprise, we'll have programs on ecology, women, all this. These are Alay Kapwa priority stewardship program. We will intensify these programs. And then thirdly, we want to strengthen our accompaniment program. This is a program to help our social action network in 85 dioceses, because they are on the ground, they are our implementers, and they deserve to be capacitated. So the secret of the success of our services will depend on the quality of people we have on the ground. And the accompany program through our Caritas Philippines Academy, we will provide that kind of service to them. So that those are our future plans. Now, this is the last slide that I want to share with you on Caritas Philippines. Of course, the banner is really share kindness. We are Caritas, especially this time of the pandemic. And we need this. No? We want to develop this in not only in our formation but also in our spirituality, sharing of our kindness. So the programs that we are really the centerpiece of our Caritas Philippines programs, we call them Alay Kapwa sa Pamayanan, no? Kung inyong maalala, the theme of the Alay Kapwa in 1975 is Kapwa ko, pananagutan ko. Kaya sinasabi diyan, no, walang sinuman na nabubuhay para sa sarili lamang. Walang sinumang namamatay para sa sarili lamang. Kaya in hashtag share kindness, we say, take what you need, spare some for others, give what you can. And together, no, let us put an end to COVID-19. So this is Caritas Philippines. Thank you.
For your presentation. Our next speaker is an internationally awarded advocate for diversity and inclusion, a global business leader, international speaker, executive coach, and author. She has launched different career paths in varied industries and professions. She has been a teacher, financial controller, human resource innovator, business executive. Her latest incarnation is as a farmer, PWD employment advocate, ecotourism champion, and locavorism enthusiast. She founded the Center of Growing and Giving Foundation with flagship projects focused on continuing development of healthcare professionals, enabling persons with disability to secure equal opportunities in work and life. To talk more about Sunshine Farm Philippines, located in Chaong, Quezon, here is Ms. Rodora I. Palomar Fresnedi, President and CEO of the Center of Growing and Giving Foundation. Good afternoon, Ms. Rodora, all the way in the US.
Good afternoon, Ruth. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and we'll now put up your slides po.
Actually, it's
Just
good
for a while.
morning pala sa inyo, no? So,
Opo, good morning po sa amin. Sa inyo po, good afternoon.
yeah, good afternoon. So, while
So
they're
just
putting
wait
up-
for your slides. Yes
Sure,
po.
no problem. Yeah.
While we're waiting.
Yeah, hope you all had a good vision of the solar eclipse. We kind of missed it.
There we are.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much. The question is, what did, what can, what should foundations do, and who matters most? Now, let me give my views through the lens of true stories. So first, our story. After nearly 12 years as expatriates, my husband and I chose to come back to the Philippines in 2011 for a key reason: to pay it forward. We wanted to help in whatever we can in building a better Philippines and a better Asia for Asians. We were blessed with countless opportunities in our lives, and we wanted to return the favor. We wanted to do it for Asians because many more people with our experience are helping the US and Europe. Marami na sila. So we came back. We looked for high need, high neglect areas where we could add value. And thus was born Center for Growing and Giving Foundation, an organization that is grounded on the belief that every person has a unique capability to grow in his or her talent and or skills and contribute in his own unique and different way. Our flagship projects include the continuing leadership development for doctors and healthcare professionals, and of course, Sunshine Farm Philippines. It's a sunflower farm in Chaong, Quezon that we built to provide jobs for persons with disability. This work actually started in 2011 when I founded Project Inclusion. It's about finding sustainable ways to employ persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities like Down syndrome and autism. Sunshine Farm, in a sense, became the continuing exploration of possible platforms for PWDs to find their unique contribution to the world. Now, the mission of Sunshine Farm Philippines is to plant seeds of hope and happiness. For PWDs, hope is a job. So does it deliver on its promise? Let me answer that question by telling the story. Let me tell you the story of Jay and Joy. Now, Jay was a tricycle driver. Life was good. He had a girlfriend and he wanted to marry. He had a tricycle that was his source of income. He was ready to start a family. Except fate intervened. One dark night, he was happily riding his tricycle home. It was too late when the lights revealed a big pothole on the road. Instinctively, he swerved, but it turned out too suddenly and too sharply. He hit a concrete bench in the side road and he flew out, head first. The accident kept him in the ICU for 2 months with severe memory loss. The kindness that surrounded him enabled him to slowly recover. First, his mobility, then his speech. But he was never the same again. Jay lost a part of his skull, a portion of his brains, and a good part of his heart. His girlfriend left him. The ordeal turned him into a reticent, withdrawn young man who became afraid to love again. Jay was our farmer number 2. Sunshine Farm Philippines became a social media phenomenon. Visitors flocked and requested more features, plants and flowers to buy, rec magnets, t-shirts and other souvenir items, personal care items, food to eat. Thereafter came requests for photo shoots, birthday parties, and other celebrations. I said yes to the request because it meant more PWD jobs. That's how Joy came into the picture. Shortly before she turned 12, Joy woke up unable to move anything from her neck down. She had an inoperable tumor at the bottom of her spine. The initial panic turned into her initial, okay, I've lost myself. Okay, let's join the picture. The initial panic turned into a difficult distress that drove her and her family to pursue a series of interventions that exposed the budding virus into the hands of sexual predators. Joy decided she would no longer pursue further medical intervention. She managed to have enough progress to be able to use a wheelchair. She couldn't go back to school. She got only up to fifth grade. She was traumatized by the experience of physical abuse in the hands of healers, and therefore she decided to stay home for a good part of 15 years. She withdrew from the world. Now, Sunshine Farm Philippines offered Joy the opportunity to have a job at the front desk, receiving visitors, giving tickets, and explaining what the farm offers. She first came out scared of meeting several strangers every day, unsure of her capability, and resigned to the limitations of her own future. But not for long. Sunshine Farm Philippines became a haven for PWD work, a harbinger of hope, and a happy home for different abilities. In a short time, Jay and Joy were joined by 12 other PWDs in the first year and another 11 in the second year. As requests for souvenir items increase, entrepreneurship by PWD families increased as well. Sunshine Farm Philippines enabled PWDs and their families forms of livelihood. Just like Princess, who makes things like this, Princess makes crochet earrings and other items sold in the souvenir shop. We also have a place to eat. From a small space that serves local coffee and snacks, Sunshine Farm now offers local favorites in a full-service restaurant. There's Bilihan, a souvenir shop that features goods from local producers, homemade and organic. Tita Sunshine products are also sold there, the personal care line with a sunflower oil base. Souvenir items and other sunflower featured items are sourced from PWD families or those who support PWD causes. There's Juntahan, a place for conversation, whether a meeting for a few people or a large group gathering up to 120 people. Sunshine Farm offers a venue for courageous conversations. And of course, we call Sunshine Farm a place of hope and happiness. After all, whether having a birthday party or just giving a special someone a day out, Sunshine Farm has become the perfect place for many. By the end of 2019, Sunshine Farm was on its way to a sustainable business model for an NGO. The donations at the gate, the restaurant, the souvenir shop, even the garden center with plants and flowers for sale were providing enough income to sustain the employment of PWD families. There's 25 of them, and then there's 10 other families selling their sunflower-inspired goods and supplies. And it also supported the development of new livelihood programs like candle making, garment painting, and plant production, among others. By then, Sunshine Farm has trained and employed 39 PWDs. Some employees have moved on to better jobs. In addition, a growing network of other families who advocate PWD employment have been provided livelihood opportunities, supplying items to Sunshine Farm. Now, plans and partnership discussions were underway to build Sunshine Farm satellites in Siargao, Palawan, Zamboanga, among others. Of course, it's keeping the same mission of creating sustainable employment and several platforms for livelihood for persons with disability. We wanted to create a movement, and we were on our way. And then COVID happened. The world stopped, and so did we. Sunshine Farm had to close, leaving at least 6,000 flowers to wilt without having been visited by the usual hundreds of visitors during our peak season, March to May. Restaurant stock spoiled, perishable goods in the souvenir shop expired, and plants for sale wilted. The income stream was shut close, but there were still mouths to feed. Now let's look at the hardship through the eyes of Marlene and Jen. Marlene had polio as a child, and it left her with a visible limp. The limitations also brought about by the same. Jen had an infection in her younger days that led to the amputation of her arm above the elbow. Both found hope and happiness in the farm and added confidence about being able to send their own kids to school. The pandemic impact brought them increased expenses for online learning and decreased capability to earn with the temporary closure of Sunshine Farm. They survive on the ayuda packs we sent regularly, if only to ensure food on the table for their families. Marlene had to raise funds for a laptop and 300 pesos more a week to fund prepaid Wi-Fi connection for her 2 students. She had the additional burden of a husband who fell ill. And as for Jen, Jen's husband lost his job with the pandemic layoffs. Her children needed the same support as Marlene's own children. So what did we do? So we calibrated everything in Sunshine Farm. We brought workers back on rotation with or without visitors, just bring them back. We started a loan facility, interest-free, structured based on ability to pay. We partnered with others, with other foundations like Pulang Lupa, to sell Quezon goods door-to-door in our village community, like Butterfly PT, the purple thing you see there, very healthy, banana, papaya, suman, salihia, pompano, makapunubos, longganisang lokban, Quezon treats, anything and everything to provide continued employment. And we accepted donations in cash and in kind. With the new business model, we survived 2020 and continued to be creative throughout the rest of the year and the beginning of 2021. Early this year, through the kindness of a good friend, Estela Tanseco Chapero, and a good heart I haven't met in person, Joy Ungongko, we launched Mira Sol, Look, See, an online exhibition of sunflower art. Over 30 artists donated their pieces of work, from hand-painted bayong shaga, painted bayongs, to paintings, to precious eggs and brass sculptures, including art from our artists with autism, from Arte Autismo Filipino. The online effort went well enough to fund 2 months' worth of salaries. We are surviving. Sunshine Farm is the epitome of, if you build it, they will come. In our case, what we have built is a venue for people to give of themselves and for others, and to grow in that capability. Through the years, we have been at the end of the generosity of good friends, families, or total strangers who donated everything. There are new Volkswagen Beetle, that's Pungkoy right there. There's another one, Boxy. Cash gifts from a 75th birthday celebration, services from a hairdresser couple, medical care from doctors, packages from BMW owners, sacks of rice for a birthday celebrant, and many more. We built it and they came. And so here we are in the middle of 2021. How are we delivering on our mission? Let's revisit Jay and Joy, Marlene and Jen. Jay and Joy continued to express what they developed in Sunshine Farm, the renewed confidence in themselves and in humanity. Joy became so self-assured, she became a guest speaker at LTO San Pablo on the occasion of International Women with Disability Month. She sings in public now, and you can catch her on special occasions at Sunshine Farm. Jay has regained his confidence as well and has built a capability. He has now left the farm and gone back to driving a tricycle. Oh wait, where did the tricycle come from? Well, Jay and Joy fell in love. They weren't sure the initial crush could turn into something serious until they both experienced earning their own keep in Sunshine Farm. And they had a job. In December 2017, they combined the Christmas bonus we gave them and put it as a down payment for a customized tricycle, one that is appropriate for Joy's wheelchair. And in November 2020, even in the midst of pandemic, they were married with reception at Sunshine Farm. And yes, my husband Jojo and I are Ninang and Ninong. Now, what about the others? Marlene had suddenly lost her husband recently. She is, however, bouncing back with increased hope and confidence in her ability to provide for her two daughters. Jen's husband worked in Sunshine Farm for a few weeks until he found another job. They're both doing okay at this time. Our other team members are all doing fine, even thriving. Hernan now is on his fourth year in the farm, is developing leadership skills and now able to even help his family. All those coming from people who never had jobs before or couldn't keep jobs before Sunshine Farm. So where do we go from here? What are our plans? We have proven a business model that actually provides sustainable employment for persons with disability. The pandemic may have brought us to slow down a bit, but we are not stopping. In fact, we are just beginning. We are a small farm with big dreams. It is estimated that 15% of the population are persons with disability. In the Philippines, it is estimated that there are 7 million PWDs who are employable but are not. That's a waste of talent, huge waste. So, sana all. Our big ambition is for everyone to join the movement. It is a movement for people to internalize these key messages and act on them. Our first message, may kakayanan ang may kapansanan. Persons with disability have abilities. They are different abilities. We typical people would benefit to learn how to see past their disabilities so we can spot their unique contribution. Second, nagbibigay, hindi lang binibigyan. PWDs have a lot to offer. They are not just here to receive. A gift for them is the opportunity to share their time, their talent, their commitment, and dedication to the job. We can create a space for their self-expression and generosity. And third, Inspirasyon, hindi lang obligasyon. PWDs all have stories of struggles and triumphs, stories of strengths and inspiration. And yes, those of us who have a little more may feel compelled to help them from a sense of obligation. Sometimes, however, the help they need is a platform to listen to their own stories. And so here's my call to action. Spread the word. Like, follow, share FB page. Share the advocacy. Talk about it. Take part in it. Like the dog that just barked, shout it out. Come and visit Sunshine Farm. Have a meal. Chat with our workers. Buy souvenir programs. Donate or celebrate with us, whether in cash or in kind, whether through services. Sponsor a PWD employment or livelihood. Have an event. Or better yet, if you are an employer, dare to hire a person with a disability. And to quote Nelson Mandela, for to be free is not merely to cash up one's change, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others, the freedom to be who they could really be. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Rodora, for the virtual visit to the Sunshine Farm. Before we move on to the question and answer portion, here's your last chance to win our special prizes. The third question is, where is Sunshine Farm Philippines located? Where is Sunshine Farm Philippines located? I need the name of the town and the province. Don't forget to like the Facebook page of Philippines Graphic before sending your answers via PM. Okay, so now we'll be having our question and answer portion. Can we have everyone on screen, Ed? Thank you. Questions. I'm just looking for the questions. Meron na po akong nakita here. Just show it. Here. Congratulations to very comprehensive presentation of Unilab STEM integrated program. This is from Mel Greg Concepcion. Can I request for the email links for the reskilling program for teachers of STEM? How can ordinary teachers join the trainings offered by Unilab? Dr. Ashe?
Thank you very much, Sir Mel Concepcion, for that question. I'll be able to send you, I'll make sure that I'll send the email link on the Facebook page of Philippines Graphic. And we have different programs. Probably if you reach out to us, we can organize one so that you'll not be just the one joining from your school probably, but your other co-teachers as well. So we will reach out to you and we can talk about different programs that we can offer. We also have our Facebook page for the other free resources and other trainings that we also coordinate with other teachers in the Philippines. So we'll be happy to reach out to you, Sir Bell. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ashe. I have one here. I don't know if Miss Connie can answer this. I don't know. Here. Paano po mag-apply as an SM scholar? Asking for a friend. Sabi ni Charm Archibel. Ma'am Connie?
Po kami ibibigay na link sa inyo para po makuha ninyo yung mga kakailanganin yung requirements. Meron po kasing mga panahon na tumatanggap kami ng mga scholarship applications. We will just have to find out kung okay pa ba tayo ngayon dun sa mga applications o natapos na, kasi kahapon ay kapipresent lamang po ng mga scholar graduates na para sa C family. At ang ganda-ganda ng speech mo doon, Sir Mario, ang ganda-ganda talaga. So, we are going to be sending you a link, Mr. Archibel. Charmin. So, para at least makapasok kayo dun sa scholarship program ng SM Foundation.
Thank you so much, Miss Connie. And I have one here. This must be from my editor-in-chief of Philippines Graphic. This is a question for all foundations. The COVID-19 pandemic added greater relevance to your work. What adjustments, if any, did you make to address the contagion in a healthy, helpful way? How did you protect your own people in the field in terms of PPEs, testing, and other support measures? I think we can ask Sir Mario to go first, if you can answer the question, po.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that question from Philippines Graphic. In the BDO Foundation, we identified different activities that we could bring online, no? Like our financial education program. All of them are now online with our various partners. Those that could not be brought online, like the rehabilitation of health centers and construction of school buildings, what we did was we partnered with local groups, no, like the local governments and then local construction companies to do it for us. And we just do the formal turnover again, how else but through online platforms. No? With regards to care for our employees, well, we are fortunate that the BDO Unibank itself takes care of its employees very well. We implement rotational work from home arrangements. We have regular COVID-19 testing, and then they also provide us occasionally with PPEs, especially the frontliners. And then, of course, we also made sure that vaccines would be available, no, for all employees of BDO, including, of course, the foundation.
Thank you, Sir Mario. Dr. Roche, what are your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, of course. Just like Sir Mario, what we did is like that, and we also have, just to add, we also have mental health and well-being programs in the Unila Foundation, wherein every Friday we have different speakers from the different aspects of well-being. We also have what you call mental health breaks and weeks, and we are very fortunate that we have self-kindness program. Kasi po, napakarami ho talagang trabaho ngayon. First and foremost, also, we also go for the recalibration of our programs. So lahat po ng mga programa namin ay online because we also have to protect our people. And pag may mga donations po kami, we course it through the different organizations. At sila po yung mga nagbibigay po ng aming mga donations like the resiliency bags, all our manuals and all our programs and all our intervention programs are recalibrated into the Google Classroom. So nandiyan na rin po ang training. At para na rin po kami nagkaroon ng studio. We have our YouTube. We all have our modules, no, to be recalibrated into online. And of course, we also retrain our people to be retooled, no, sa lahat po ng mga different access that we can also be in front, no, of the help, no, sa atin po. And of course, collaboration.
Thank you. Dr. Cheryl, do you have anything to add?
It's a bit similar po to the different programs. Now, we really make sure that we have this what you call kumustahan session, just to ensure also that despite the different opportunities and activities for STEM, and we're able to protect also the wellness, mental health being of our different partners. And our other members actually are in their hometowns already, but we were able to effectively work despite the distance and deliver the different programs that we have. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am Connie, can I have your thoughts on this question po?
Oh yes, tungkol po naman dun sa mga employees namin, we have not stopped swabbing our employees to ensure that they have negative results before they even report or come back to the office. And also, we have provided COVID care kits or packages for those employees who have been found positive. So yung COVID care package na yan, meron ng mga paracetamol, meron mga gargles, meron kung anong mga vitamins na kakailanganin nila to boost their immune system. And also, SM pays part of the hospitalization expenses of our employees kung na-hospital sila because of COVID. This is beyond PhilHealth and their health insurance. So that is how we take care of our employees right now.
Thank you, Miss Connie. Father, that's the question.
Yeah,
Can I have your thoughts?
for Caritas Philippines, the pandemic isolates us. Eh.
Mhm.
So the whole thing is to foster our communication. We have to maintain that. Salamat na lang na mayroon tayong technology. No? So we improve our technology in order to be in contact with our staff. So constant meeting, no? With one another, and then if there is a possibility to have a face-to-face conversation, we try our best to do that. But mostly it's virtual. Now, if there is a need to go down to the province because of the humanitarian assistance program, like during the typhoons, so we provide also service, testing kits for them, and then of course we ensure that when they are in the province, they are taking care of our local diocese there. So we have just to do it, but it's a good learning. The pandemic it gives us a lot of learning because it provides us the opportunity to be creative and to find ways in order to continue the service. So for us, the pandemic is also uh, a blessing because this is a defining moment for Caritas Philippines, how to continue to service the poor and the most vulnerable in a pandemic situation. And I can say we are able to do something, and it's a learning for us. So sa ating pandemic is not a hindrance. It is really a challenge to our creativity and a challenge to our perseverance and endurance during these times.
Okay, thank you so much, Father. Miss Rodora,
Hi.
yeah, sharing with you the question.
Yes, in addition to what's already been said, syempre mas vulnerable yung workers namin kasi PWD. So double whammy sila. We just added two more things. One was tricycle service. They didn't have to use any other form of public transportation. So there's a Sunshine Farm tricycle service. Syempre may paint na sunflowers. So pag nakita nila, masaya na sila. The other one is during the period where it's total lockdown, that we couldn't bring workers into the farm, which is we call our place of hope and happiness. We sent hope and happiness to them. So we cut sunflowers and sent our workers sunflowers. Very in line with your mental health initiative, Dr. Jake. So we took care of their mental health that way, kept in touch, sent them ayuda packs and all. And when we returned, of course, mabuti na lang farm kami. So social distancing was not difficult. And we kept visitors into like 30 people at a time.
Okay, thank you, Miss Rodora. This is for Father Tony. How can we support the Caritas kindness stations? Tonyo is asking.
Okay, thank you for that question. Okay, we have an office in the city of Cubao. You can contact our people there. The lead person is Jeannie Coriano. Is under our humanitarian office, and then you can also approach in diocese, the social action center in a diocese. If it is not possible, go to your parish office and ask how you can help, and how you can if you know some people to be helped, so you can approach the parish. And now if you are a member of a chapel, it's a smaller community, we call it BEC and small communities, Our Chinese students are already being brought there for sustainability and also for protection. We don't want people to line up. We want possible the goods will are delivered to them. So you just approach the nearest church in your area.
Okay. Thank you so much, Father Tony. Here's one question for Miss Rodora. Doctors are often thrown into leadership tasks with very limited skills. The leadership journey for doctors have empowered a lot of us, doctors with leadership skills. Will your program resume?
Okay, we would be very willing to resume that big program. We're just constrained by funding right now, but we do have many programs that continue to run. A leadership journey for doctors has a cohort of about 300 doctor leaders all around the country who are now occupying very senior, even top positions in different associations. It is something that we think would need to be continued, but it at this time, however, it's quite expensive to run it. So with the right funding, we'll be going anytime.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, here's another question. I think, yeah. Play It Forward has impacted a lot of children and hospitals waiting for their care. Has Unilab Foundation continued on this program? And how have
Yeah,
you
ma'am.
adjusted during this pandemic with the limitations of social distancing? Go ahead, Dr. Sheikh.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ma'am Iani, for acknowledging the Play It Forward program. So now we already extended our program not only to the hospital but also to the Department of Education. So for now, because of the limitation to really go in the hospital, we have our people in the hospital, hospital representatives who are really conducting the program continuously, and we are providing the supplies. And of course, for the Department of Education,
Uh-huh.
we trained 300,000 plus teachers to go for the online psychosocial support. So it's not only in the hospital, but it's now for the deaf ed children as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sheikh.
Yeah.
I have another question here for Ms. Rodora. How can we support your programs from overseas? And then I saw another question earlier. Where can we buy your products? There. Ma'am, I think you're on mute.
That's a quote of the year. You're on mute. So I was on mute. Okay. Sunshine Farm Philippines has an FB page. You could write to us there. Now, for those people who'd like to donate, you could send us a message, Sunshine Farm PH. Also, email us, and we could send you our. We have accounts in dollars, so you could send dollar donations from overseas.
Okay, thank you so much. And here's another
And thank you for
question.
that.
Oh, okay. This is a comment. Thank you for having Caritas Philippines here. We will continue to serve the poor and most vulnerable in the country. The pandemic has brought out innate creativity, perseverance, and resilience of Caritas Philippines and our diocesan social action centers. Okay. This is the question. Okay. For Dr. Sheikh, Dr. Sher, and Ma'am Rodora, as leaders in your own foundations, how can you encourage girls and women to be leaders as well, especially in men-dominated world of NGOs? Thank you. Let's start with Dr. Sheikh.
Yeah, I think that's a very hard question, but one also of my advocacies is really to go for inclusion and, of course, diversity and respect for diversity. And what we are doing is, of course, in the Nila Foundation, we treat all individuals, regardless of gender, no, equally, no, and of course, our life is our message, rooted from our thoughts, feelings, and behavior. And what we are doing is the character strength of open-mindedness and perspective to go for the strengths of the people regardless of their gender.
Thank you, Dr. Dr.
Yeah.
Cher.
I have similar views with Dr. Sheikh, but probably my work as a STEM education leader is already a testament to the capacity of women also to lead such kinds of advocacies and initiatives. Also, we're working with ILO, the Philippine Country Office, with the Women in STEM program, particularly integrating STEM in technical vocational educational training. So some of the programs that we collaborate with them are really particularly targeting women in STEM. And we have other collaborations with STEM plus PH within Unilab Foundation for really doing this program on Pinay Can STEM. And so in that, we're living really the idea of empowering women to do more, particularly in the field of STEM education. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. And Ma'am Rodora, your views on this?
Yeah, shout out to Unilab Foundation. Hello, Doc Sheikh and Doc Cher. I've long been an advocate of diversity and inclusion, and women in management is something I've been working on for over 20 years. And my philosophy is it's no use breaking glass ceilings if nobody can follow. So I think it is incumbent for any woman executive to make sure that somebody else can follow in her position when she assumes a position. I'm happy to share that part of my work when I was in Unilever in London has created that, particularly for an NGO. The president of US Save the Children is actually a product of Unilever and a product of the Women in Management program that I did at that time. So you don't know where they would come from at any given time. I think it's not just about women, it's about LGBTQI in NGOs. It's about anyone and everyone who have a unique contribution to make. Um, I I see more women in NGOs right now because I think this profession is very suited for women's empathy, natural compassion. And I was gonna say, wala ba? Apat kaya kami dito versus dalawa ni Father tsaka ni Boss Mario. It's like, so I think we should have more of this. And part of what I think would help is putting more women out there to speak on behalf of their organizations so other women could see role models. And then for women to be willing to mentor younger women, and I again say this again for LGBTQI, for those in more senior positions to be willing to mentor the younger generation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rodore. I have a question for Sir Mario. Would you be at liberty, sir, to share the programs that you're planning, the post-pandemic rebuilding programs that the BDO Foundation is planning? Would you be at liberty to share that? More details about it?
Yeah, right now we are still scanning the environment on what will be needed. No? So as we do, we continue to focus on what we can do right now. No, while the rebuilding is not yet taking place. No, so it's still, in other words, it's still in the planning stage.
Okay.
And if I may add also my comment to the related to the previous question, no? Because
Go ahead, sir.
yeah, because there have been surveys conducted among NGO networks, and one of the results there debunks that claim that the NGOs are male dominated. No, actually it's the opposite. No, in fact, many NGO heads and executive directors are female. No. And I think the situation today reflects that reality.
Okay, thank you, Sir Mario.
Yeah.
And I also have one question for Miss Connie.
Yes.
Would you happen to have an update on your quarantine facilities? Ano na po yung capacity nila? Are there mga patients dun ngayon?
O yung mga quarantine facilities po namin hanggang ngayon ay ganun pa rin. Especially during the past months when hospitals were filled up and
Yeah.
talagang walang mapuntahan, na hanggang nasa tents na lang yung mga ibang pasyente. So, ano naman po, yung mga COVID facilities namin, yung temporary quarantine facilities are really maximized in its
Mhm.
usage up to now.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's full, ma'am? Are they full ngayon?
Yes, up to now po kasi
Mhm.
marami pa rin na yung mga ibang hospitals na hindi nakaka-accommodate ng mga ibang pasyente,
Okay.
pwede namang na-accommodate dito po sa mga quarantine facilities that were established by SM Foundation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Connie. I think we'll have time for one last question from our editor-in-chief, the Philippines Graphic. How difficult was it to coordinate with sectors not within the ambit of your beneficiaries but are in need of help? For example, displaced workers. Did you reach out to them? Let's start with Sir Mario.
Yeah, well, as much as possible, we focus on the sectors that we have decided to help, no? But especially during this time of the pandemic, we became more flexible. So what we have been doing is that we have been working with institutions that are catering to these sectors.
Okay, thank you,
So
Yes.
Sir Dr. Cheryl. What's your view on this?
More of our beneficiaries po are actually teachers who are in the field. What we were able to do was that we transitioned really the programs to online. We not just for example, they're not familiar with Zoom, for example, but we tried other platforms as well. So, like for example, our STEM and TVET trainers, they were more comfortable using Messenger. So we got in constant coordination with them through that platform. So we really tried to adjust to the platform they're familiar with so that we sustain the connection with them. Thank you
Okay,
po.
thank you, Dr. Miss Connie. What's
Yes, because most of our activities were suspended because of the COVID-19 protocols. So, ang ginagawa po namin ngayon is to be able to shift to programs na pwede naming maabot. Like right now, yung aming concentration is to work with the Philippine Red Cross at tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung aming bloodletting activities because it is not very easy to be requesting emergency blood in these
yes.
institutions sa panahon ngayon. So, yun po yung mga pinupush naming mga programs if we have difficulties reaching the other sectors that are not really readily available for us.
Father Tony?
Yes, Caritas Philippines is used to this kind of work, no, na palagi talagang lumalabas. Now, before the pandemic, we have a clear beneficiaries like most of our vulnerable communities during disaster. We look at them every year. Now, we know already which areas, which sectors are really vulnerable during this disaster. So we have that. And then during the pandemic, there are a lot of people who are displaced workers, no, and even ordinary drivers, all this. So we reached out to them since last year. So dumami tuloy ang ating mga beneficiaries, no,
Yeah,
during this pandemic.
that's
And
true.
of course, it's very demanding on our part. Importante kasi sa Caritas, we will always allow people to feel na may kasama silang simbahan.
Thank you, Father Tony. Dr. Sheikh?
Kami naman po, of course, in our work with Heads Up PH and the Project Inclusion, which is also Unilove Foundation program, we also coordinated with the DOLE, the Department of Labor and Employment, no? para po sa mental health program ng iba't ibang kumpanya. Hindi lang po yung mga naka-furlough, hindi lang po yung na-displace, no? But mental health programs that are inclusive for all the employees. Meron din po kami programa na family well-being na through the DSWD na tumatalakay po sa pamilyang Pilipino na talagang mahirap. At isa po sa tinalakay dito yung pagpapakawala rin po ng trabaho ng mga magulang at ng mga miyembro ng pamilya. So these are also tackled in our family well-being programs in collaboration with the SWD.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Rodora?
Hi. While our platform is diversity and inclusion, that means everyone. So we just started with PWDs, but inabot namin yung kaya namin abutin. So within the confines of Town Quezon, for example, that's a big enough community to reach out to. And even nationwide, we coordinated with other people, work with other agencies, kung anong may itulong namin. So, maraming salamat sa digital capability, no? Kasi parang biglang lumawak pa yung pwede mong tulungan. So it extended not just in terms of capability to reach other people, but also in the ways you could reach other people. Ang daling magpadala ng GCash, kung kailangan ng pera. But most of the time, the expertise that we provided was in the platform, the process. Paano tumulong, how to create a sustainable health, how to access people who are out of your immediate areas, and those things, especially when you set up foundations, whatever the initial cost is, the learnings that you have in setting up a foundation or in supporting a cause is applicable to everyone. So, madaling tulungan at marami kang maibahagi sa ibang foundation at sa ibang grupo na lumalapit sa iyo o hindi pa lumalapit sa iyo pero gusto mo na rin tulungan. Like I said in my talk, it was very easy to help because common platform on everyone is sana all. It's very common. Hashtag sana all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Rodora. And I'd like to thank you all for participating in this webinar. Before you go, may I ask for your final message? Sir Mario, can I have your final message before you go?
Final message, yeah.
Yes.
To my co-panelists, I would like to wish you good luck in everything that you're doing for our less fortunate countrymen and women, especially those most affected by the pandemic. And then to our partners, I would like to thank you for helping us continue this work despite the situation, very limited mobility and all. And again, thanks to Philippines Graphic and BusinessMirror for this opportunity. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Sir Mario. Dr. She or si Dr. Sheikh muna?
Yeah.
Si Dr. Sheikh na lang muna.
Sige po. So kami po in the Unilab Foundation, we work with fun. Of course, we work with our mission. And ang lagi po naming dinadala is our strength is a gift. And our gift is our life. And we bring it to the table to every Filipino and to every community. So, nakakapagod po siya. Pero yun na lang po yung iniisip namin. Na hindi mapagod, no? At of course, magkaroon din po tayo ng self-care at alagaan po natin at magkaroon po tayo ng agility at growing mindset para sa sitwasyon ngayon at sa kapwa natin Filipino. Magtulungan po tayo.
Thank you, Dr. Sheikh and Dr. Cheryl. Your final message.
Thank you very much, Philippines Graphic and BusinessMirror, for the opportunity. I also feel privileged to speak with fellow panelists and their wonderful programs and initiatives. Although we're working on STEM education, but join us po, partner with us in this endeavor to build a better Philippines by empowering our youth through STEM education, we build the next generation of innovators, scientists, engineers, again, with compassion, working for building a better Philippines. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Always help everybody in this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cheryl. Miss Connie, your
Oh,
final message.
thank you for having us, and thank you very much for this opportunity. So, to all our partners and to all the participants, let's continue with what we are all doing, and let God take care of the rest. I wish you all good health. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. Thank you, Miss Connie. Father Tony.
Yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity na magpasalamat sa Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror for having Caritas Philippines in this webinar. We are able to share what we are doing in Caritas. Thank you also for the partners, or all our partners, for supporting us, no? So that we can also continue to serve. Itong pandemic ay talagang can bring us several no, parang gives us several phases of crisis. We can improve from this pandemic. We can remain the same. We can even come on, or we can also go worse. So depende sa atin. Mahirap, pero this is a good opportunity for us to serve, and we just continue. No, we can do this together, and I'm sure God will take care of us and protect us. So maraming salamat po sa lahat.
Thank you, Father Tony. Last but not the least, Ma'am Rodora.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much, BusinessMirror and Philippine Graphic for this opportunity. And my fellow panelists, I salute the work that you're doing. The mission of Sunshine Fund Philippines is to plant seeds of hope and happiness. Sana po ngayong hapon na ito ay nakapagtanim kami ng kaunting pag-asa at kaligayahan sa mga puso nyo so that you can grow and give in whatever talent and capabilities you have at this time. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Miss Rodora. I salute you all for all the work that you do for the Filipino people. Thank you so much. For his closing remarks, let's welcome back Mr. T. Anthony C. Cabangon, the publisher of Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror.
Mirror extend our sincerest thanks to all our guests. I wish to announce that the highlights of this webinar will be contained in the anniversary issue of Philippines Graphic, which will come out during the last week of June. And for all of you who participated in this webinar with your comments and questions, you are all entitled to a certificate of participation. Stay tuned for the Philippines Graphic and Business Mirror webinars. We have webinar on vaccine hesitancy on June 24, 2021, and men's health on June 30, 2021. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Boss Anton. Before we go, let's announce the winners of our contest. Okay. Question number 1. Mr. Mario Derequito left the private sector for 3.5 years to serve the government of President Benigno Aquino III. What was his position in government? The answer is Undersecretary of the Department of Education. The winner of the Bosch Toaster is CLA Logro, and the winners of the Tita Packs are Ling Lansang and Chemi Castillo. For the second question, Dr. Sherilyn Monterola has a Bachelor in Secondary Education, MA, and PhD in Education. What subject did she specialize in? The answer is physics, and the first winner is Vela Crisma. The second winner is Jubilee Caballes Ramos, and the third winner is Jekbek Sumilang Serisola. Okay. For the third question, where is Sunshine Farm Philippines located? It is located in Chaong, Quezon. The first winner is Glidel Laconico. The second winner is Sherlestel Dila de la Cruz. And the third winner is Ira Agustin. Before we go, I would like to thank our sponsors, BDO Foundation, Caritas Philippines, Nickel Asia Corporation, SM Foundation, PAGCOR, Unilab Foundation, TLC, and the ALC Group of Companies. I would like to thank the following for all their support: Ed, Philip, Rix for running the show behind the scenes, to Ma'am Psyche, Ma'am Chuchay, Boss Anton, thank you for the support. To Dennis, Shaira, Charm, Queenie, Maribel, Carlo, Leia, Rodel for making this possible. Until our next webinars next month, this has been your host, Anne Ruth de la Cruz. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye po.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you po.
Bye po. Thank you po.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye everyone. Maraming pong
Thank
salamat.
you.
Thank you
Thank you
po.
po.
We'll share with you po the Philippine graphic pag okay na po. The stories will come out there.
Maraming pong salamat ulit. Bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Our journey with the Filipino moves us to do more, giving hope to those in need. Rebuilding lives, inspiring sports heroes, and empowering a nation. PAGCOR, creating opportunities beyond gaming.